Hi there. Well, I have a really hearty recipe today that's going to be perfect when that rain does follow in a little bit. We're going to brine some pork chops, and we're making the whole dish into as simplest form as you can. Not everybody wants to go home and have to prepare risotto, which takes like non-stop cooking and your attention. So we're going to use an Alessi brand of Saffron Risotto. You'll notice that Saffron Risotto is really trending in restaurants. It brings a really nice flavor to the dish, and by getting it this way, you're not spending as much on the saffron threads. We're going to do a sheet pan roast of vegetables, shiitakes and portobellos, parsnips and carrots. We're going to sprinkle that with some Moroccan seasoning. I'll show you the marinade, and then we'll all bring it together with a little blood orange sauce. So stay with me throughout the hour. It's seasoned pork chops Moroccan style. Hi there, Scott. So what I'm going to do now, just to get them roasted in time, we'll start with the vegetables. I peeled up some parsnips, some shiitake mushrooms, green beans. You can use haricots verts, which are the skinny French green beans, olive oil, organic carrots. This is going to go in the oven with some fresh thyme, and it has that Moroccan seasoning and olive oil on it. So we'll give that a roast at 400 degrees for about 25 minutes. Mushrooms will be done sooner than them. Let's talk about the brine. Brining pork chops makes them so juicy and succulent, so I really want you to get used to doing this. What I do is I basically make the brine, then I bring it to a boil, cool it down, then add some ice, and then it goes in a bag with the pork chops. I picked up these beautiful center cut, thick pork chops. I really like this because this is like the porterhouse of pork chops, so you get the little tenderloin on that side. Nice and big, one per person is going to be great. When you make the marinade, I use apple cider. I just find that I like the flavor no matter how I'm mixing it with, like the blood oranges I've got in there. Then we're going to do brown sugar, and we're going to do salt. You do a fair amount of salt, because what you're going to do, that's about a half a cup of brown sugar, and the kosher salt. The kosher salt, you're going to bring this all to a boil, and then when it cools down, what you're going to do is you're going to add ice cubes, and that will break it all down. You never want to add the pork until this is chilled down. So this will go in a pot, come to a boil, then just simmer almost steep for about 20 minutes. Then we'll cool it down. It's going to go overnight, and what I do is just a pinch of dry mustard powder as well is always nice to add into that. I don't want to use the Moroccan seasoning just yet because that will be almost too intense. When it comes out of the marinade the next day, you want to rinse it in cold water, pat it dry, and then seasoning. Then what we're going to do is just take just a teeny bit of olive oil right on the pork chop. You know, when you're cooking boneless pork chops, be careful because there isn't a lot of fat to them at all, so you're not going to get that fat rendering in the pan, so you'll need more oil. But let's get these two started. And you can see I patted the other side and added some of that Moroccan seasoning. When we come back, we'll get the risotto going, we'll check on the vegetables, and we'll bring it all together with some blood orange sauce. Well, Scott, it's coming along really well. Now, I pulled out the green beans and the roasted shiitake mushrooms. The rest of the vegetables are in the oven for about 10 or 15 minutes longer. I'm going to also pull off one of these pork chops. You know, when I was at Geyer's Sausage Kitchen picking up these pork chops, some people stopped me and asked me about certain techniques with cooking, and especially with pork. What I also explained is you can stick the pan right in the oven, just like you're doing with fish for those last few minutes, just to ensure that it comes up to a medium rare or medium. You don't want to cook it well done. But what you're going to do is, just like you're grilling outside, you poke it a little bit. Don't use a fork. You don't want the juices to run out, and you can feel whether it's just about cooked or not. This certainly is cooked, and they are thick and gorgeous chops, but if you needed 5 more minutes, in the oven it would go. So we're going to shut the oven off. We're going to pull the pan away from there, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this butter, and we're going to just let the butter melt down, and then we're going to take the blood oranges that are bright in season everywhere you go. So after Geyer's, I ran over to Yoder's Produce Market, and they had plenty of blood oranges. So I'm just gonna get some of that delicious fresh juice, which I also think the blood orange adds such a nice flavor with the Moroccan seasoning that we put on these pork chops. I also just added some large chops, so just big pieces of some shallots and a little fresh thyme. So we'll get all the goodness from the bottom of the pan, pull it off again. Let's go back and check on the vegetables. On the way, let's take a stop and look at our saffron risotto. Now again, this is just an easy fix, plus it's a lot less expensive than buying saffron threads. Just a few saffron threads can cost you up to $50. That's why they call it chef's gold. So look at this. The veggies are getting more tender, but they're not too soft. We want a little bit of crunch to them. And it's gonna go really nicely with this saffron. So all we have left to do is pour our sauce over our chops, and then we'll just put down that side of saffron risotto in about 5 more minutes when it's complete and thickens, and we have a beautiful hearty lunch or dinner for you.
Absolutely wonderful, Judy. I love the root vegetables, and the meat is fantastic.
You know, it's that brining, and you do have to rinse it off so it doesn't taste too salty, but you get that balance with the salt and sugar that break down some of the fibers in the pork that make it extra juicy. And then that finish with fresh blood orange juice and a little butter that mixed in with the shallots and all the roasted vegetables, and of course the easiest, most affordable saffron risotto. And I got that along with the pork chops over at Geyer's Sausage Kitchen. So
Absolutely
you know,
delicious.
made it for like a almost like a well, I'll call it like 2 or 3 p.m. dinner, but super easy. And roast vegetables make enough for 2 or 3 days. They're delicious cold on a salad.
Oh yeah. Well, it's delicious. The recipe's on our website, mysuncoast.com. Click on the recipe button. It'll take you right there with Chef Judy's video instructions and the recipe list.
And
Fantastic.
don't forget, it's Wednesday. You can always sign up for our culinary newsletter if you haven't already. And if you have, you're going to be entered into a contest to win a $50 gift certificate to one of our restaurants on the dining page.
Can't beat that. Free.
Yeah.
Scott?